there, how y'all doing this fine morning? This is Data from the trail. Today's plan is to hike either about 7.5 or about 12 or 13, depending mainly on weather and how I feel about how I'm going. But it's a little different than the plan I had originally. I was going to hike from down here at the NOC over the course of 3 days up to Fontana Dam and stay at the Fontana Hilton. But after talking to the folks that run Gorgeous Stays, I got some pretty good advice that if I do it the opposite direction, it's actually slightly less climbing going southbound than it is northbound. So I'm going to do it southbound. But the bonus is, and this is the real reason I did it, if you remember to a previous video, I was going to have to do a 7-day food carry out of here all the way through the first half of the Great Smoky Mountains National Park, because right now it's hard to get resupplied at Fontana Dam. But by doing it this way, I get to come back. I'll go up to Fontana Dam today. I'll take 3 days to hike back down here to Gorgeous Stays, and then I'll get to stay here for a night. But anyway, I'll hike down here over the course of 3 days, and then I'll get to take a shower, do laundry, all that kind of good stuff. And I'll only have to take a 3-day food carry on this round, and then when after I spend the night here, 4 days from now, I'll have them shuttle me back up to Fontana Dam, and I'll have a 4-day food carry only when I head into the park 4 days from now. So I say that, and if you've seen the video from yesterday, you know that on day 1 it was supposed to rain also, and it did not rain at all. In fact, if anything, it got hot. So I don't know, the weather is fickle in the Smokies, in the southern Appalachians. So I may not get rained on at all. That'll be something to watch for later on today. But I'm at Gorgeous Stays now, having my morning breakfast and a cup of coffee. And I'm going to leave my truck parked here for the whole rest of the hike. They're going to look after it for me, no charge. Because I stayed here a couple of nights and I'm staying here a night when I get back, and then probably at the end I'll stay here another night. So if you're a guest here, you can park your car for free and they'll look after it for you. If you're not a guest, though, I just learned yesterday, they still let you park your car here or truck or whatever, and they charge like $10 a day, which is pretty good. That's kind of the going rate. And so far, yesterday was, beat me down pretty good, but mainly that was because I made some mistakes. I didn't carry enough water. For some reason, I took the wrong water bottles. They were slightly smaller bottles than I usually have, so I drank my water a little too fast during the day, and then water sources were pretty dried up. So I'm going to carry out a little bit more water today, and obviously I can do that and not worry about that extra 2 pounds because I am leaving 4 days of food supply back here in my truck that I'll pick up when I get back here 3 days from now. So, I make out those very detailed plans and all the other options on purpose because I've learned that evidently, no matter what you plan to do on the Appalachian Trail, between Mother Nature and what you may learn from other people along the trail, with what I may learn from other people along the trail who have more experience and expertise in the part of the trail I'm hiking than I do, your plans will change. My plans will change. They seem to always do that. And the flexibility is something I'm having to learn to get better at. But I do like having all the tools so I can evaluate things. I'll be doing that over the next couple of days. Since I changed directions on this part of the hike, that changes potentially some things about where I stop, where I get water, some things like that. But it's about 68 degrees right now. There's a little bit of a breeze. It hasn't been raining as much as it's been forecast to rain all week long. It hasn't rained nary a drop. So hope you all are having as good a morning as I'm having. And this is Data saying happy trails. Well, there's my first look at Fontana Lake. And Scott from Gorgeous Stays just dropped me off at the Fontana Dam Visitor Center. So today's goal is one of 3 locations. One's about 7.5. That's a shelter. There's a campsite. It's about 10.5 miles. And there's another shelter that's about 15. Since I don't know if it's going to rain or not, I thought I would capture some scenes across Fontana Dam here. There's some nice views. Oh, sounds like somebody responded to my Garmin text. That is early morning. There's my first blaze of the day, so at least I know I'm going in the right direction. I think that right there are the Smokies that I'll be hiking into tomorrow, or no, 3 days from now. And then that's Fontana Dam early in the morning. It's an informational sign about the Appalachian Trail, which includes a map of the trail. A little red line from down here near Atlanta all the way up to Maine. But I thought this one was interesting because it shows kind of the eastern half of the U.S. and my hometown of Chicago is even shown. I don't know what relevance showing Springfield, Illinois and Chicago, Illinois and Milwaukee have to do with the Appalachian Trail, but it's kind of nice to see that. So this is the road walk down to the Fontana Dam Hilton. Can't tell if off to my right is where the trail goes or not. Looks like it might be, but I'm going to walk down to the famous Fontana Dam Hilton. Might be somebody here, so I'll try to be careful. But there are tent sites up on this hill, which is where I was going to stay until my plans changed. Sounds like there's somebody in there, so I'll stop filming now. So there's a little place to get rid of trash, fire pit, a couple of seats, and some picnic tables. Somebody's hanging some stuff out to dry off, looks like. There's a charging station. I think there's also a charging station up in those bathrooms. There's a water bottle refill spot. And this is a double-sided double-decker. One of the largest capacity shelters on the trail. Top and bottom levels on each side. And out of the other side of the shelter, this is your view in the morning. Just that quick. About a half a mile south of the Fontana Dam Visitor Center, back out on the Appalachian Trail. I started hiking about 9 o'clock this morning. And it is, it's warm, but it's not raining. So. I have about a mile of fairly level, slightly up and down terrain. Maybe a little bit more than that before I start a climb up to what I think is the Cosby Knob shelter. And that's a pretty long climb. I have adjusted my water carry since I took a bunch of food out. I'm actually packing out 3 liters instead of 2. Kind of overcompensating for yesterday, but I also thought that because I start with a climb, I'll be going through water pretty rapidly. And I kind of want to climb in earnest today so that even if the rain cuts loose later on in the day, hopefully I'll be up the climb before that happens. That's about the 6 or 7 mile mark. So I'm at the Fontana Appalachian Trail crossing, which is just up the hill. I did sign the sign. It's just up the hill from the marina. You don't hike down there if you don't need to, although they claim they have Verizon cell and Wi-Fi service, but I don't need that. It's about 1.7 miles in on my day. Did that in about an hour, not too much climbing. There are signs up for shuttle services you could call from here, and some things like that. And there's also, so here I am at the Fontana Marina AT hiker crossing restrooms and comfort station. There's running water, flush toilets, and sink and soap, and so it's a nice place to take a quick break. I didn't take the pack off, but I had a second breakfast, and I'm going to hydrate a little bit, and then I'm going to head on up the hill. So I'm about, I don't know, a couple miles in on the day, just south of the Fontana Marina Visitor Center, and this is a pretty fresh blowdown. And I'll be honest, I don't yet see a way through it, over it, under it, or around it. So I'm going to have to take a minute to try to figure this out. I actually just came through a section that clearly came down during Hurricane Helene, and they cleared it pretty well. I can see on how some of the wood is still yellow. This is a very fresh blow down here. So that's going to slow the progress up a little bit, but anyway, here goes. Well, as bad as it looked, it's a younger, smaller tree, so a lot of the mess are really just small branches. I just broke my way through and climbed up over the things right in front of you, and then climbed over this one. So I did a little bit of trail maintenance on the way through, just to kind of carve a path for the next people. So maybe a couple of other folks will come through and break up some more stuff. But it is laying directly on the path, as you can see right here. But the rest of the trail this morning, has been pretty clear, so it looked like trail maintainers have been doing a pretty nice job of getting after this part of the trail. And I have another couple of miles of this rate of ascent. This climb is 1,700 feet over about 2.5 miles, something like that. So it's a pretty solid climb for me. Anything over 500 feet a mile is usually a pretty strenuous workout for me. And this is, I'm carrying plenty of water today, but I hear a water source, even though I can't see it. Must be back in there. So it's about 11 o'clock. I stopped to take a little sit-down break. Not exactly a pack-off break, except I found a nice sitting rock, so the pack is actually off of my back, and I'm kind of leaned up against it, so I guess it is kind of a pack-off break. And I hydrated and had a snack. I'm about half. I don't know what kind of flowers these are, but the bees certainly seem to like them. Here's an indication of what's right ahead of me. This is level, this is up, and the AT or somebody has bothered to come out here because of how steep this section is and put in stairs. And I can't even see where the steps end. So that's going to be a little bit of a climb there. But here. So this is the southernmost of 3 stream crossings. That's about 4 miles south of Fontana Dam. And I scooped water here. For other hikers, the water collection would have been much easier if I had done it at one of the 2 that are a little bit north of here, and they're only a tenth of a mile away, but I hiked past them because I knew there was a campsite here, and I wanted to take a break. And there is a campsite here. It's a pretty nice campsite. So I took a pack off break and a little sit down break, and I had a little bit of a snack for lunch. I'm going to have a little bit more. And I filtered 2 liters of water. I'm still carrying a spare liter in the back. And I was going to take a shoes off break, but it probably doesn't show up on the camera. Cloud cover has started in. So that storm front, if it rolls in today, is going to roll in between now and 3. Also make note of this. This is actually called the Billy Goat Gruff Memorial Bridge. It's a 1-lane bridge. No oversized loads. And they have load lids. 4 legs are prohibited. So I think humorously they do mean to suggest that they want you crossing this little pair of logs carved into a bridge one at a time, maybe 2 at a time. So I have not seen a single other person on trail today all day. I saw that one gentleman's gear back at the Fontana Hilton, and I think I saw him up toward the Fontana headquarters, but we were walking different directions. So just me in the woods today. There is a fire pit at this place of sorts. Oh, it's a little after 1. I got about 10 minutes or so into my last 2 miles of the day hike, 3 miles of the day hike, and thunderclaps began happening. 4 or 5 of them in a row, and then some sprinkles came down. Unlike when I was hiking during Helene last year, and as has become my new habit, I immediately dropped the pack and threw the pack cover on it. I didn't pull the raincoat out. I don't think it's going to rain that heavy before I get to the shelter, even if it does. Honestly, I'm dripping in sweat now, so getting sopping wet in the rain would be a relief, probably. But I cameled up at the last water stop, my break. There's a big blowdown I get to crawl under. I am still on the climb, so I'm hoping to be at the summit before the rain hits in earnest. You can kind of hear it now, maybe. And actually, I shot this video because if it comes in earnest, I'll have to put this phone away for the duration of that rainfall. Sounds like it's raining a lot, but it's really getting caught up in a canopy so far. Yeah, now I think the rain's here in earnest. So it rained or sprinkled really for about an hour, on and off. The rain, it rained up high, but only sprinkles made it down to the trail. You can even see how the treadway's dry really now. So we didn't even get any flow on the treadway. So it was nice. It cooled things off a little bit. That was excellent. Now the sun's out, heating things up again a little bit, but I'm only a little over a mile out now from the Cable Gap shelter, where I will definitely take pack off and shoes off break, and I'll decide if I'm going to stay there
But it's 2 o'clock now. It's probably only going to be 3, so there have still been claps of thunder off in the distance, but I can't tell if it's sort of brewing up another round of rain. Or if it's done. So, I don't know. So yeah, I got about maybe 100 feet of climbing and 600 feet of descending, 1.1 miles, something like that, to get to the cable gap shelter. So this is just turning into a great afternoon on the trail. It's a gentle downhill slope for now on a fairly cruisy path, and nicely worn in by other hikers. The sun is out, and yet it's also sprinkling a little bit here and there. And the cloud cover comes and goes. Sometimes it acts like it's going to rain seriously, and then it stops and the sun comes poking its head out. And all of that is cooling everything off and creating a little bit of a breeze. So as hiking afternoons in July go, on one of the North Carolina sections of the Appalachian Trail, this is a pretty nice day to be hiking. Well, friends and neighbors, I do believe I have reached the cable gap shelter. There's some nice tent sites up here, and I believe that's the privy up there. This looks to be an older shelter. I don't see anybody around yet, but there could be. It's right next to a creek, so there might even be a water source here. It's definitely one of the older chestnut log shelters. You got a tarp over it because the roof is evidently not in great shape. I don't think I even see anybody here. It's small, like a 8-person shelter. It's pretty tidy. I can hear running water, which, yeah, I'm definitely just going to stay here tonight. To heck with that. That's music to a hiker's ear at the end of a long day. It's a piped spring, but for some reason the water's not coming out of the pipe, but it's flowing plenty anyway. I might see if I can rearrange that and fix that. As of right now, I'm the only person here. Early in the day. But that is one old ATC shelter right there. So I got to the shelter, took off my shirt to hang it up to dry, settled in to think about did I want to keep hiking today or not, and Mother Nature has made that decision for me, as it is just cutting loose. This is going to be home for the night. Well, this is a rainstorm on the AT for you. Strongest rain shower of the day, and the sun is shining. And it's just a downpour, and yet the sun is shining on everything. And I'm glad that I got here just before this came down. Man, I even ran over to the stream real quick a little while ago and gathered up about 1.5 liters of water so I'd have some for tomorrow morning in case it rains all night. And I'm sitting on 1.5 liters plus some electrolyte water, so I'm going to change into my dry clothes and set up my air mattress and my rest of my sleep system. It's like my first time using my my quilt. So, and I'm getting dripped on even sitting inside the shelter. So, well, it's about 5:30. I got here at 3, and it has rained solid and pretty heavily most of the time for that whole time. But the shelter stayed dry. Now the front part of the shelter, this overhang part, leaks, so I had to rearrange my clothesline. But you can see I've got my clothes hanging up and drying, and I've got my my new sleep system with my quilt laid out, and I'm cold soaking my dinner. So I'm about to sit down and eat it. I even took a little bit of a nap and did some stretching exercises that I learned from the guy at Glorious Stays. No one has shown up, so I may not have the shelter to myself tonight, but if there's anybody else coming in late tonight, they're coming in sopping wet because it rained hard. This is one of those old chestnut log shelters that needs some loving and some work. Its roof is in bad shape. I like these old chestnut log shelters, but there might be problems to maintaining them that I'm not aware of. There's the privy over there, elevated up in the air. There's a path over to it. And then there's a lot of tenting spots here. So I hope this isn't a shelter they're getting ready to get rid of, and that's why they're not doing a lot of maintenance on it, because it's in a great place. About the right distance in for a novice hiker like myself from Fontana Dam, and it's got a little stream right out in front of it, so it's easy to draw water. I ran over here right before the rain started and collected just a little bit of water for myself for dinner. And it was raining really, really hard for a while. It wasn't a hurricane, but it did remind me. So sitting there in that shelter during this rainstorm reminded me that the last time I was on the Appalachian Trail and stayed in a shelter was actually Seiler's Bald down south of Wya Gap, where I stayed the night before Helene drove me off trail. So, interesting to be back on trail in a shelter and have it raining really, really hard. Kind of almost triggered me a little bit there. Like I said, it's about 5:30, so I got a couple hours of daylight left. I'm going to sit down and eat my cold soaked ramen over here. And make some notes in my journal and try to do some stretching exercises I learned from that fellow up at Gorgeous Stays. So after the rain stopped, I did a little hiker re-engineering on the pipe for the pipe spring, and now the water's coming out of the end of the pipe, which I collected water earlier without the pipe working right, but this will make it a lot easier when I go to collect tomorrow morning. It's really pretty easy. You just have to reposition the piece of PVC and get it, going downhill and plugged into the right place uphill. So, but anyway, felt good to contribute something to this trail and this sorely neglected shelter, because my clothes are hanging up drying slowly. Now we're getting on towards 7 o'clock, and the rain seems to have stopped completely. So now, of course, with the sun out, now it's getting a little bit humid and heating back up again. So you can't win for losing. I'm going to filter my water for tomorrow morning, and then I think I'm going to try to hit the hay a little early so I can get up before the crack of dawn, pack everything back up, and head out.